Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone tuning in all around the world. Hello, my name is ATX Crypto. Welcome to my channel. We primarily will focus on the Richard Heart ecosystem, Hex, Pulse Chain, and PulseX, diving into what folks are doing in the market, diving into some TA chart analysis, diving into some blockchain analysis, having fun with some industry experts, and just an overall blast of what's going on within our ecosystem. Today, we're going to be talking about waiting. Waiting. My goodness. Does it seem like we've waited long enough? Right? That's really a big part of it, right? I know Hex took a while to come out, right? We know that to be the case. Hex took roughly about 2 years from inception to actually come through and actually get created. But there wasn't really a sacrifice phase for Hex. And so with the sacrifice phase and with the layer 1 blockchain, can we anticipate that we are going to see a roadmap from Richard Heart in the future? And I think roadmaps are pretty common for layer 1s, if I'm not mistaken. I can take a quick little look real fast and just kind of see what's going on for roadmaps across the board. But I do feel that most layer 1 protocols have some sort of roadmap in place. Now, before it was like a list of what's done, what's not done, right? And that's kind of what that's what I think a lot of people are wanting to know. How much more is actually needing to be done? Does the AMM still need to be fixed? Does it still need to be worked on? What else needs to be worked on? The consensus protocol. Does everything else work, right? The staking protocol, right? Does everything else work? And I think for a lot of us, that's kind of where it ends up being, right? So for a lot of layer 1 technologies in crypto, they do have some sort of roadmap and development. And that's not something that we're seeing with Richard Heart. And I think that's something that he can come through and bring into play. And especially because it's going to continue going forward, right? This is something that a layer 1 isn't just launched and then it's good to go like Hex. Hex is a phenomenal thing because it's a completed crypto. In fact, it can never be changed. It's immutable. It's locked on the blockchain. It's locked in this basically vault, if you will. It's a vault within a vault. That's part of what made Hex so enticing to me, is that it can't have anything come through and affect it because the chain itself or the code itself is already locked. But I know whenever it comes to layer 1 protocols in crypto, they typically do have some sort of development, right? And let's just kind of see here, just to kind of give you an example. I'll just pull up some images that I just typed in on Google right now. And we're going to share this screen. But hello, I hope everyone again is having a fantastic day. We're just having fun. We're checking some stuff out today. And again, it's all about how you enjoy life, what you got going on with your life, and again, how we're taking advantage of everything as well. So if I pull this up on this page right here, this is a wallet with XBTX, right? It has the Talos wallet, another wallet, right? And these are just where you can kind of start going. If I end up going back, you can see Arbitrax, Arbitramax. I don't even know who this is, but you can typically see they have some sort of roadmap. And I think a lot of the times that's kind of what we're missing with Pulse Chain. And I'm wondering if we're gonna have a roadmap going forward, right? I could just type in Ethereum roadmap right now, I bet, and that'll probably be a better description of kind of what we're seeing. So if I go over here, you can see kind of where the roadmap is, right? No, that's not it. That's not it. This is the Terra ecosystem. We already know the Terra Luna already kind of ended up dying, but they definitely have something, right? And again, this isn't really like the best example of it, but usually there's something that people can rely on. There's something that someone can refer to. right? And if I go here to this page, for example, this is Changely. I've used them before in terms of transacting and getting into crypto in the first place. But they do have some sort of roadmap in place, right? They have this whole area down here, building a long-term. Oh, this is a whole blog, isn't it? The second place belongs to decentralized exchange, and do. And of course, the picture I actually wanted to see wasn't even on this page. That's too funny. Because this was actually the photo I was trying to see, but I guess every single time I click it, it ends up going to the next page. So I can't actually see. Maybe if I click that. Long term, nope. Oh, it's because it's a video. That's why it's just like the little snippet apparently inside the video. But just based on this alone, you can see that there is something happening, right? There is an item that is coming to fruition, right? And you can see everything that's kind of happened up until this point, and then everything that's planning on happening in the future. And I think that's what we're missing in our ecosystem right now for Pulse Chain. And I'm not sure how to really get that done, right? But real quick, while I get everything all set up and situated over here, let me say hello to everyone. He's gonna have to figure out a roadmap, my friend. But we got Academaciated in the house. Hello, hello, hello. Greetings and salutations, everyone. I appreciate that. We have O-Carts in the house. Oi, oi. I love it. Crypto Gains Club 369, always coming through clutch. We got RH, doesn't do roadmaps because of expectations of the work of others. I don't know. I can't get behind that so much. I understand where it's coming from. I understand the possibilities. I understand the reasoning. I can't see that being a valid enough reason to not give any sort of roadmap, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm tripping, and maybe I'm the one that's wrong here, but like you can see here as I go through and share this again, Gabriel, what's going on, Gabriel? He actually got to check out the profit taking strategy calculator that I have, and he's the first one to kind of get a chance to play with this. So Gabriel, congratulations on that. And we're just having fun. Again, this is something that I will plan on sharing eventually with everyone with the whole profit taking strategy. But you can see this was the actual ETH 1.0 or 1 point whatever it was in 2019, and then you end up getting the shard chains, and this is everything that they had planned on doing: continued improvement, Serenity Phase 3, right? And so this is it's gonna have to happen, right? Under the proof of stake system, 2/3 of the miners would need to stake ETH, right? And so it's like this stuff is absolutely necessary in order for people to kind of know what's going to come in the future. Now, before you could check like GitLab, for example, and you could see they were updating and there was this left, and he would talk about like, this is done, this is done, this is done, and this is left, this is left, this is left. And maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm just remembering it backwards. I'll be the first one to admit my memory is not the best, right? And so maybe if you go back in time, it could be that you were the only one here, right? But this is kind of how it works, right? You have proof of work switching to a proof of stake, and then you have sharding coming in the future. And we already know all this, right? You got the verge, the purge, the splurge, right? So it's like this is naturally going to happen. Now, the SEC is looking into Ethereum now just because of the proof of stake system that Ethereum switched to. Before, they were under almost the same thing with Bitcoin, where it's considered a commodity. But you can see it right here. Ethereum's transition to a proof of stake system will see the second largest cryptocurrency. Will the second largest cryptocurrency turn into a security in the eyes of the SEC? And that's because, again, holders hold their stakes, right? And so the Howey test examines whether investors expect to earn a return for the work of the third party. And so, like, I don't know. We'll update Ethereum past the Howey test, right? The Howey test states that a transaction becomes an investment contract if money invested in a common enterprise with reasonable expectation of profit to be derived from the efforts of others. And so, if a transaction passes a Howey test, it's an SEC, it's a security, it's an investment, right? And so, it needs to be registered as such. And so, like, I don't know if this is part of the reason why we have a delay. I'm not exactly sure exactly what it's going on right here, but you can literally see there is roadmaps, right? If I go to Ethereum here, the Ethereum just the main one for the roadmap because it's pretty well known across the board. But you can see the beacon chain, the merge, the shard chain, right? And so it's like there's something in place to have a roadmap of what's going to go forward in the future. Randy Hilarski, good afternoon, my man. What is going on? And so, back to waiting, right? Like, I know we're all waiting. I know we can't have expectations from the work of others. I know all that, right? And I know he said it time and time again. And Richard Hart has been real about a lot of things, but I think coming with the layer 1 network, man, Hex is amazing. Hex still is amazing, but it's changed the narrative because of Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain now has people, for example, not locking their coins because they don't know when Pulse Chain is going to come and they want to take advantage of that opportunity. Some folks, and this is a lot of folks, as a matter of fact, have come into the ecosystem, bought Hex, and have only solely bought because of Pulse Chain. They aren't buying Hex because of what Hex can provide them or that they value Hex. They literally see it as the ability to exchange to get into Pulse Chain. And that's a great play. Like, I'm not saying that's not a good play. Like, if you're planning on coming into Pulse Chain, that's probably your best play, is to hold Hex, wait for the launch of Pulse Chain, and then swap it into whatever you want, right? Because, like, you have to imagine that Hex is going to have the biggest liquidity pool within the Pulse Chain network because it's built by Richard Hart. It has the most known community within our ecosystem as Hex. So if your play is to get into Pulse Chain and your play is not really so much on Hex, Hex is kind of being hurt quite a bit because of it. So I am waiting for Pulse Chain to launch because I think Hex can go back to do phenomenal things once we separate ourselves from Pulse Chain. That's what I'm really wanting. I want us to go back to where Hex does Hex things. Because that's when you really start seeing growth. That's when you can really start seeing where it can take us, where it can lead us into the future. But because we now have the waiting mechanism built in because of Pulse Chain, Hex is being hurt. And I don't like that, right? Though one thing I will say, Randy said this in his stream yesterday, and I absolutely loved it. He's planning on getting, if Hex goes back in below a penny, he's hoping he can scoop up as much Hex as he can and possibly go back and earn all of the T-shares that he lost over the last 2 years while getting Hex or spending Hex or doing anything and just scooping it all back up if it goes back below a penny. And I'm hoping to do the same thing. This is a phenomenal time to scoop up some more, to make some more T-shares. But a lot of folks aren't really getting in for that, right? They're getting in just because of Pulse Chain. And so I love what Randy said, though. I'm wanting to scoop up as much Hex as I can. Like, I didn't see Hex whenever I first got in Hex. I didn't see it at a penny, folks. I was never in around that time. By the time I came in, it was already 7 cents or something like that. But I got to see it run all the way up, and I got to see it go all the way back down. And so that's where I got the whole profit taking strategy coming into my mind, because I got to see big gains very quickly, and then I got to see those gains go away. But it's because we have Pulse Chain, man, and it like frustrates me so much, because Hex is why, like, before Pulse Chain was even a thing, I love Hex so much that I literally sold everything that I had. I got rid of all the stocks. I got rid of any other crypto that I had. I literally just wanted to get into Hex because of what it does, what it is going to do, and how it works. It is phenomenal. Hex is incredible, people. And I think a lot of folks are missing that concept of actually the benefits of Hex. And so, like, once we had Pulse Chain launched and we had that announcement and you get the hype around it and everything happening, like, here's my question, okay? Here's my question. If ETH 2.0 didn't launch, and I wish someone would have asked this on the stream with Richard Hart. This is kind of one of those questions I personally didn't even ask. I was watching. I didn't send any messages or questions just because, like, it's always the same. But I really had hoped that someone had asked, if ETH 2.0 didn't launch, how soon would Pulse Chain have launched? Right? Because, like, now the ETH 2.0 has come around, everything that they've been working on for the past year was essentially washed. Right? And so they got to do some, but they had, let me see over here. They did have, right? Like, how, if ETH 2.0 didn't launch and we aren't forking ETH 2.0 and we're still working on forking over, Ethereum, but using the BSC chain, how soon would Pulse Chain have launched? And I'm really curious about that, right? I'm very curious because now that we've introduced ETH 2.0, it is going to benefit us going forward in the future. And that's where waiting can sometimes end up being more beneficial than you could even realize, right? Like, now the ETH 2.0 is here and we're forking over that, we're going to now get all the Ethereum upgrades going forward in the future. I think that's an incredible opportunity, right? It's okay, Delta. Are they being suspicious? Hey, I need you to calm down, okay? But again, like, let me kind of read chat right here. Again, Randy Hilarski saying, good afternoon, peeps. Everyone, go follow Randy Hilarski. Give him a sub. Give him a like. Give him some love. He is an absolutely awesome, awesome person. Loved having him on the channel. Go back and watch that interview I had with him. And I think, I haven't had anyone else besides Randy. So really, he's the main celebrity of my channel right now. And I absolutely love that. Gabriel says, 50 hex for 10,000 pulse with this hex price would be good ratio swap. What do you think? Huh, let me see. Well, what is 50 hex right now, right? Let's just do some quick math. So if the current price of hex is sitting around 2.1 cents divided by 50, nope, did that one backwards. But that would be roughly about $1.05 for 50 hex. So technically, that would be really close in what you got for the sacrifice, because the way the sacrifice phase worked is for every $1, you were given 10,000 points. And those points are essentially, should Pulse Chain launch, should it be happening, will be converted into Pulse Chain is the idea. So that ratio right there would essentially be what people sacrifice for, was the $1 for 10,000 pulse. Now, you have to keep in mind this ratio is going to always adjust, especially with the fluctuation of the hex price. So imagine we start getting announcement of Pulse Chain, whether it be testnet v3 or Pulse Chain launches. I think the hex price is going to be going up, right? You got to imagine the hex price is going to be going and raising very quickly. So the idea that it will no longer be 50 hex at that point in time, it will be less. If you're trying to keep that same $1 to 10,000, $1 to 10,000 ratio that you're seeing. So like, just assume that maybe we go and do a 10x and we get back up to 21 cents, for example. Well, you'll no longer need 50 hex, you'd only need 5 hex, right? Because 5 hex would equate to $1, which would give you the 1 to 10,000 ratio that you're looking for. So that number is going to fluctuate, Gabriel, depending upon what the price of hex is when the price of hex gets here. Dude, I think my house is Like I'm seeing shit, man. I don't want to say it's haunted, man, because like I love this house and I love it, but like I'm seeing shit. All right. Anyways, but to answer the question, Gabriel, that would be a good ratio swap at current prices as it is right now. If you're looking to just get into what the sacrifice ratio would have been. Randy Larsky says, building back my T-shares, it is an amazing opportunity. Yeah, like, are you kidding? You're able to scoop up all this hex. You're able to get so much hex right now for so little dollar value of what it used to be. Now again, I wasn't in hex during the times when it was below a penny. So I see this as like just an amazing opportunity. But for people who are in below a penny, they still see it as they're still up 100x, 1000x, you know, depending upon what they have. So they may still see it as like it's too pricey for them to get involved. And it's just this crazy mentality that you just have to be able to make that decision for yourself. But if you're like, this is when you can advance up in the staker leagues, right? If you're a crab, you can go to a turtle, and if you're a turtle, you can go to a squid, and if you're a squid, you can go to a dolphin, right? This is when you can advance up those ranker leagues, especially on the lower leagues, right? Like if you're a shrimp and you're just trying to become a turtle, that's 10 T-shares. It's fairly easy to get 10 T-shares right now if you at least go longer than the average stake length. It's fairly easy and fairly inexpensive. And then from a turtle to a squid, again, still relatively easy if you have enough T-shares. That's 100 T-shares. And that's always been my goal, is to like accumulate as much as you can. Because guys, everything you get right now is going to get copied when Pulse Chain launches. Like, so it becomes this crazy little knowledge thing and mindset thing. Yeah, 50x for $1 equals 10,000 pulls. That's the same as the sacrifice price. Correct. Yeah, and that's what I was saying, just based on the current price. But if Hex goes and does a 10x and goes back up to 21 cents or 20 cents, for example, then you only need to technically do 5. But you have to imagine, this is when knowing ratio swapping is going to be pretty crazy. This is a whole different game theory, because when Pulse Chain launches, you're going to have Hex on Ethereum and Hex on Pulse Chain. And it's going to be up to you to determine if that's something that you're going to swap into. The idea is that we won't have a bridge into Pulse Chain right away, because the idea that you also want to have it set up the ability to do the ratio swaps. You want to have it to where it's not equated to $1 and all the tax purposes and benefits and all that stuff. So if like Hex on Pulse Chain, for example, ends up being the same when it first launches, but maybe it drops when it first launches, or maybe it goes crazy high when it first launches, the ratio is going to be all sorts of different numbers. So you definitely want to have a game plan involved, Gabriel. And this is when like things can just get wild. You have Akit Dematiated saying, SEC shysters, the average Joe gets shafted in legitimate endeavors regardless of the regulations. For sure. Randy Larsky definitely says nice, right? And like, yeah, that's the numbers currently at today's price. Let's plan for the price being higher on Pulse Chain launch. So the game theory I'm going with is that we're gonna at least see a 10x on the price of Hex before the Pulse Chain launch. So I'm anticipating we're back up to around 20 cents again before Pulse Chain launches, and that's when you want to start kind of developing everything there. Because I mean, heck, what is, like, I can't use testnet right now because it's going to show that the price of Hex is like $1 or something or whatever. I haven't checked it out for the price there in a while, but I know the price is a lot higher. We have Randy saying the SEC is making it hard for many. Yeah, they definitely are, right? And they're hitting up our community, and Richard Hart did a great segment in why Hex is like just a waste of their time, and that they're just like, if anything, they're literally wasting resources trying to figure something out. And what I think happened is someone who works in the SEC, you know, sacrificed for Pulse Chain, and they're pissed off that Pulse Chain never came around, and they thought that maybe the money was being used to pay back the influencers or the YouTubers or the streamers or the people who are tweeting. Because like every single time someone says like, let's ratio this, or you can't ratio me, if the Hex community comes in, like it gets ratioed hard and fast. Altcoin Daily used to get ratioed all the time by a hexologist. It was just constantly, and he was like, if you ratio me, I'll mention whatever. And then it was like Hex would come in, and hexologists would come in and would be like, boom, and just fucking ratio everyone. Academacia, time for them to get a real job. That's funny, man. That is funny. Oakheart says, proof of work interests me. I think it will do well in the next bull run. Love it. Dad mode. Hey, yeah. That is funny. For sure. Yeah, definitely. Oakheart says, love your streams, Randy. Just a shame it's so early morning, or so early in the morning time for the UK. Yeah, it's always tough, right? He definitely watches them the next day, though. Hey, showing the love, of course, as we do. Sorry, Oakhearts. I will likely mix it up a bit in the future. Yeah, and that's something that, you know, it's like, I looked at my analytics, and I think most people stream or are more active around like 3 or 4. And of course, like that could work with my schedule, and I could always adjust and make it happen so that way we get more people involved. But I think just having a set time that, you know, like Randy comes on for me every single day around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, right? And then so I just kind of, I can anticipate it. Like if he hopped on and started doing, you know, 1 p.m. streams, I'm like, no, Randy, like, what are you doing, right? Because, you know, that could be my lunchtime or whatever the case would be. So we definitely love mixing it up, though. Like I used to do my streams at like 8 o'clock, actually. And I think Randy took over that slot, which is just funny. So it always works out, right? We definitely always adjust, and we definitely want to make it so that way more people can get involved. I love the love that I'm feeling in the community right now, guys. I'm up to like 525 subscribers. Let's hit 600 by the end of the month. If you aren't subscribed already, do me and yourself a favor and click that button. It doesn't take long. It's free to do, and you might enjoy the content because I do a daily stream. So y'all are welcome to come back in here and enjoy me daily. We have Cash Up Cash in the house. What is up? Oh man, hey, Cash Up Cash. What's going on? More Hex says, thoughts on communists. I am not a fan. I don't like the name. I love the fact that it's an airdrop. Don't get me wrong. Like, free is free. It's just not something that I'm personally gonna mess with. For this one, I don't like the name. I know Kodiak or Kodak has been in the community for a long time. He's a known Hexican, according to people who have been in the community just as long. I don't like the fact that you can't see his face, so I'm staying away from that. There is no admin keys. There's no origin address. The Pulse Police did a review on it, saw no red flags. It has cool incentives, but like, here's the deal. So like, because of the fact that they don't really have any deterrent for me either waiting or getting in sooner or later, should I decide to change my mind for any reason, all of my stakes are still open. And as soon as you click end stake, you also get the ability to then also collect your tokens too. So because my stakes are still open and because they're all here, should I decide to change my mind in the future, should there be value in the future, I can still come back and always claim it. I am not joining right now during this time. I feel like it's just not worth the risk. I know that there hasn't been any issues. I don't like connecting anything that my stakes are tied to. And then because like I don't want to risk my stakes, man. Like I know I have separate wallets for that reason. And on those separate wallets, I have staking ladders on those wallets. And I have them set up in such a way so if one does get jeopardized, I still have a backup and I still have another and another. But why would I want to run the risk of connecting to something that I don't really even feel like I need during this time? It's not something that is super advantageous for me to buy, for me to hold. you know, and so it's like, for me personally, I don't like the name. I'm not a fan of the name. I've said that in my stream yesterday. I don't know why they chose that name. They literally could have picked any fucking name, like communist. From what I see, like it sounds like communist to me. For one, two, if you're trying to share with someone, you're like, hey man, you should go check out this communist token. They're like, what? And it's communist, right? However you say it, I don't really know. It frustrates me. The name frustrates me, and so because of that, I'm out. More hexes. What's up, Randy? I've also been looking into PBX. That looks like an awesome coin. I'm not sure what PBX is. I'm trying to figure out. Someone had mentioned that there's AI tokens coming. Maybe Randy could let me know this as well, because I know he stays pretty up to date with the AI technology. Guys, I'm a big fan of AI. I love Stable Diffusion. I love Midjourney. I love Deform. I love Chat GPT. I love everything that you can do with Dolly. I'm a big fan of AI. I think it is going to revolutionize where we go in the future, what we can do. In fact, I actually ran a little AI protocol asking it to do a security audit of the hex. Now I wasn't able to get the entire code put in there for the hex code, but let me share this real fast. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. This is actually Chat GPT, and let me zoom in so y'all can see a little bit easier too. And am I zoomed in too far? 1 second. One second here. Give me just a moment. All right. So again, this is like a portion of what I was able to check out. And again, like it's very easy. So what I did was I went on to the Etherscan website. And if you don't know, I'll just kind of show you the whole thing real fast. If you don't know, you can actually go onto Etherscan. This is the hex contract right here. And then down below, you can actually keep going down. It's hex.com is the token, is the deployer. You can come in here where they have everything, and you can click on contract, and you can actually read the code yourself should you want to. You can also go in and check out the audit report. And so we can look into that as well in a moment. But this is the entire code for hex. And so what I did was I got to copy like the first half, because there was so much. I wasn't able to input the whole thing into Chat GPT. It just said it was too much. So it wasn't able to check out the whole thing. And I just want to show this, because I said, hey, perform a security audit. And then I copy pasted the code. And so it literally gets to copy paste everything in here. And if you scroll down to the bottom after it's all said and done, it says the code defines two contracts, the context contract and interface called ERC20. And it basically says like, hey, it has execution, and it has the ability to do two internal functions, message sender, message data, which returns the address of the message sender to the data message, right? And so it's like, it's breaking down all this stuff for me, transfer approvals, doing all this stuff. It's recommended to do a security audit of the smart contract prior to deployment to identify and fix any potential vulnerabilities. This can include checking for known vulnerabilities in the code, reviewing the code for best practice, and testing the contract in a simulated environment to identify any unexpected behaviors. So I asked, are there any vulnerabilities you can see? I'm not able to see the live deployed version of the code and run tests, but from the code that you have provided, it does not seem to have any obvious vulnerabilities. Some precautions have been taken, such as the use of the internal functions for certain sensitive operations and the use of the view functions for read-only operations. However, again, it's important to note that smart contract security is complex, and constantly evolving field. Even with a thorough review and testing, it's possible for vulnerabilities to be missed or for new ones to be discovered later. It's good practice to keep the smart contract up to date with the latest security patches and best practices. Additionally, it's recommended to do a professional security audit by experts to ensure the contract is secure to catch any issues that might not be obvious to code review alone. Like, let's fucking go. Are you kidding me? That is incredible, folks. Hola, at more hex, claim my communist. Yeah, so a lot of people are claiming they're communists. Man, I don't even like the name, dude. I don't. At Randy, same. And again, like, that's cool. That's awesome. And the ability that I can claim later that's what like doesn't deter me from like trying to claim it right now. Because it's not like Hedron, for example, where you got a mint bonus of a 10x, 9x, 8x, and it was like, guys, I gotta figure out if I'm gonna do something soon. Because I did that with my Hedron and I locked in all my 10x bonuses right away. Not right away. I gave it a few days. I had the people in the community do their thing, and I got to see everyone give it raving reviews. But because there's no like rush to me doing it right now or not doing it, I'm just kind of sitting back waiting. And should I need some extra cash on the side, maybe I claim it, right? I don't know. I haven't decided yet during this time. Maybe Kodiak comes out and shows his face and, you know, becomes like another member, like representing the whole streaming community. Because right now it's like all good. And I guess that I consider that to be an anonymous founder personally, just because like I like seeing faces. We got more hex saying Pulse is coming. Let's go. Luke Duke in the house. Thanks for the tweet, Randy. I like ATX. Noggin, pound it. Let's go. Love it. I love you too, Luke Duke. Much love, Randy, for showing the for sharing the tweet. Good afternoon, Luke Duke. Yep, no rush for communists. And again, like that's kind of the whole deal, right? It's like this mindset that it's like, I don't really need it, you know? Like that's kind of, it doesn't have a lot of liquidity right now. It's brand new. I don't like connecting my stake wallet that I have with anything, especially something that's brand new. And if there's really no rush for it, then I'm really not in like a hurry. And if my mind, like I'm open to my mind being changed. I'm always open to that perspective and having something change with it. I just think that the name could have been better. Like, I don't know. There's so many things that I had as an issue that's keeping me from just being like, fuck yeah, I claimed it. You know what I mean? So yeah, at this point in time, I haven't claimed it, but there's plenty of people who have. Sweaty says, I'm waiting as well. Luke Duke says, horrible name. Again, like you could come up with any freaking name. You like anything. Like you had the ability. It wasn't launched. It's no one even knows about it. And they could have named the goddamn thing community token. You know what I mean? Like if it was supposed to be community, then name it fucking community. I don't know. But like communists? Come on, man. Why? Why, dude? Horrible name. I'm right there with you, Luke Duke. Crypto Gains Club 369, laughing. For sure. Yeah, that shit's funny, man. Like, communist is the community in Latin. It does not actually. It actually just means common in Latin, Randy. I did you can go to translate, you know, translate.google.com or whatever. And I typed in communist and it does not come out as what it is. So like I'll show you what I'm talking about, so that way you can actually see it as well. So say we come into Latin. Okay, what if I go backwards? Go from Latin to English. Jeez. Latin to English. So I'll share this tab and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Because I was like, hey, maybe it means community. I'm right there with you. And maybe it means something like that. But like, look at this. Communist just means common. Some adjectives: common, general, universal, ordinary, usual. Like it just means common. And again, if you can't see, I'll zoom in just to make it easier for everyone. So again, communist just means common. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. I'll say it again. I don't. I think they missed a great opportunity. Oh man, I didn't even share my screen. I'll share it real quick. I'll go back. So communist is community for Latin. We know that not to be the case, unfortunately. From what I can see, maybe there's a different translate app. I typed it in on like 3 different websites to make sure I wasn't tripping, and it all came back as common. So I don't know why they did that. I think they missed a great opportunity for coming up with something absolutely incredible and amazing. That's where I stand. Yeah, unfortunately, just not a fan of that. Corey Tate, yeah, the name sucks. Again, Ocean Breeze coming through saying, "Hey, Randy Alarski." Yeah, LOL in English, it's an awful name. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Like, I get it, right? Like, man, thank you. I'm not a fan. Like, you have to be able to share it with someone, and I'm not gonna be like, dude, did you go claim your communist token? They're like, what the fuck did you say? Your communist token? What? Like, no, communist, the communist token. And then you're like, how do you spell it? You're like COMMONIS, and they're like, what? Say, and half the people can't even spell. So then you're over here trying to tell them how to spell communist, and then they type it in like trying to get a free airclaim for there'll somehow be a communist token they'll connect their wallet to, and then they'll fucking lose all their goddamn stakes in their shares, and they'll get hacked. Not a fan. Not a fan. I've said my part on it. I'll move on. My buddy just built an app using AI for the construction industry in less than an hour last week, and has already has a buyer at 150K. Randy, let's go. Like, right? How freaking incredible is that? In fact, I'm probably going to be trying to figure out how to use ChatGPT to create an app for my profit taking calculator, for my profit taking strategy. This is like, the future is in AI, folks. Like, whether you're trying to get on it or not, whether you're trying to learn it or not, I definitely think you're missing a huge opportunity if you aren't trying to at least get your feet wet with it. I know ChatGPT isn't the only one out there. I mean, dude, there's AI that can freaking talk. You could literally type in. I could probably download Richard Hart's voice and this app, and I think it's Synthesia, if I'm not mistaken. And you can download this app, and it'll download the voice. You upload an hour, which he has plenty of voice talks that he talks well over an hour, and then it can actually talk back in your voice, and you can literally get it to say whatever you want. Dude, deepfake's gonna be a thing that's happening real freaking soon. There's gonna be people in our Hex community who are gonna be just posting AI videos, and you won't even know. You won't even be able to tell. Like, I know before it used to sound robotic and shit, but from what I've seen on the newest stuff, wild, folks. Absolutely wild. In fact, there's actually a download link for Merlin on Google, and you can actually get it to say, like, check this. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, right? So I'll just pull this up. We'll go to the Pulse Tube, and let's just see some news. I don't think I don't know what happens here whenever I go to this. Oh, I need to refresh the page. That's cool, Randy. I absolutely love the fact that someone was able to come through, build an app, and literally sell it within an hour. Like, that's freaking awesome. Are you kidding me? That's really, really cool. As a matter of fact, like, I'm actually very impressed. It makes me want to try to figure out, like, why I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? All right, so here we go. So just for shits and gigs, I'll share this again. I don't really know what this article is about, but I can go through here, and this is an app called Merlin. You can download it. It's a Google Chrome browser extension. Merlin, like the wizard, right? And so again, pretty easy to tell someone how to spell it. Merlin, like the wizard, pretty easy. So this is a full article right here. I can highlight the article, and let me just come up, and okay, cool. And then I can literally, it's either down here in the bottom right corner, which you can't see because myself is covering it, So I'll show you here again. So I can highlight everything for this whole area. Whoa, 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 whoa. Too fast. All right. And then I can literally just come in here in the bottom right corner, you get this little icon. Or I can just push Windows M and a little window will pop up and it'll basically be like, hey, what's going on? Oh, come on, man. What are you doing? Don't fail me now. No. Okay, well, let me go to this page because F it. So I can come over here and I can basically say like, hey, what does all this mean? And I can open up Merlin. It'll be like, hey, break down what this is all about, right? And it'll literally figure everything out using the chat GPT, and it'll go through here and it'll actually give me a full breakdown of everything that I'm trying to figure out within this little spreadsheet. I can do this for news articles, you can do it for so many things, and it'll actually come through and give you a result as to what's going on. I think the future of AI is absolutely incredible. I'm trying to figure out everything that I can about it because, guys, this thing is going places. Whether you're here for it or not, you're going to be missing out an opportunity if you don't try to take advantage of it. Crypto Gains Club 369. What I learned about the game from legends like Randy, Dave F, which is Dave Federer, etc., is to always put the research in. I'm RH Maxi on the socials, but away from the socials, I dabble in it all. Learning every day is the key. Yeah, for sure. Like, dude, I'm big on Richard Art projects, right? I'm big into like what it's going to do for us in the future. I'm big into what it's done for me so far. I'm definitely in on Pulse Chain and Pulse X, but yeah, I sacrifice for other coins as well. I think that they have the ability to come through and do some phenomenal things, and I'm interested to see exactly what's going to happen with it, right? So I'm right there with you. And that's part of where like kind of the today's streams kind of like coming along, right? Do I want to dabble in other things? Do I keep waiting? Do I figure something out? And like that's why I'm trying to figure out like this AI crypto. Someone had mentioned there was AI crypto projects, and I haven't had a chance to really like figure all that out per se myself, to see like what AI cryptos out there and what it means for AI and all that good stuff. But pretty freaking fun, you know what I mean? Corey Tate says, "Wow, I have to do a deep dive into Chat GPT for sure. Like, check it out. It's well worth it. It's free. It's getting bought out with 49% ownership of Microsoft, right? Which sucks in all reality. And Randy says it as well. They're all in the little club together, whether it's Elon and Bill Gates or whatever. They're all in this little club. But at the same time, the technology that's available, it's like looking at Hex and looking at Richard Hart for some people. Hex itself, phenomenal. Richard Hart can come off as a douche sometimes in regards to how he is perceived by others, whether it be his tone, whether it be his abrasiveness, whether it be his shopping extravaganza. That can come off as very off-putting sometimes, and you have to differentiate that there's two different things. There's Hex and there's Richard Hart, right? And so you have to be able to differentiate. And so I think that's what I'm trying to learn how to do with this as well. I'm not looking into who owns it. I'm looking into the benefits of what it's doing for me and how it can help me. That's what I'm doing. Luke Duke says, I collected my start bonus on communists and put it in something else I want more of. Not a bad little chunk of free money. It's awesome, Luke Duke. And so like the downside too, if you collect all of it, and you could either collect all of it and you get like 10%, or you have to wait until your stake ends and then you can get the full 100% payout. I've done some research into it. I've read the white paper. I've looked into it myself. I'm just not going to be getting involved in it at this point in time. My recent tweets are mostly about AI generated, my recent tweets are mostly AI generated, and I tweet it to give a human touch, or tweak it. Yeah, no, I feel you, Crypto Gains Club. Like, yeah, dude, and like dude, man, I went through a rough time, a rough patch just recently. I lost a great buddy of mine, Marine. He gave in to the deep darkness that you can get yourself consumed in sometimes, and it sucks to lose someone like that. And I was at a loss of words to everyone who reached out to me, and everyone who did reach out to me, thank you so much. Like, it means a lot, lots of love. But I had a tough time articulating anything because they would ask, the same normal questions like, how you holding up? I want to make sure if you have any thoughts, you come out, you reach out. And I was having a tough time articulating besides the normal, right? I'm good, everything's fine, everything's all good, right? And so like Chat GPT helped me out, man. In all reality, I was like, dude, help me out. Like here's what they said. Here's what's going on, and I'm trying to come up with a good response. And then the response that they came up with, holy shit. It felt so heartfelt. It felt so good. It was something that I may even say myself in the right state of mind, but I wasn't in the right state of mind at all. So it was awesome to be able to have such technology available to come out. In fact, I've actually done it for some tweets as well. I'm right there with you, Crypto Gains Club. I've done it for a couple. I think a lot of it just comes down to like what you're planning on doing, right? How you're planning on doing it, what you're planning on using, and everything else. We have Bright Light Crypto in the house. What is up? Oh, I missed the message from what up, boys and girls? Ocean Breeze saying many people don't like the Hex name either, but it doesn't mean anything. Cheers. I like that, Ocean Breeze. I like that. Hex can come off as off-putting too, right? They put a hex on you. It's spell, it's witchcraft, it's wizardry, it's all that. But there's a lot of things that also come from the foundation of hex, right? And so like it's the technically strongest object. It can take up the most space. Like if you ever, that's why beehives literally form a hexagon, because it gives you the amount of space. It gives you the perfect amount, the most amount and most efficient use of space. Communists, man, come on, dude. I'll get off it. I'm not gonna hit it up anymore. Ben saying respect to @Randy Alarski for supporting the up and coming streamers. Hey, Randy, dude, I absolutely love it, man. Every single time he hops on, he shares out the tweets, shares the love, spreads the love, and it really does mean a lot. So thank you again. How low do you think Hex will go? Is 1.79 cents the bottom? Oh shit, man. Here's the deal. I think it is going to be painful to everyone if you aren't trying to take advantage and capitalize on the price. Why are you doing that, chart? Move. Okay. I'll share this tab with you, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So, this is the current price of Hex. We are now sitting at 2.009 cents. So we are just on the cusp of breaking 2 cents, folks. We're literally right there, right on the line at 2 cents. Because, I mean, look, 2.006 cents now. So, do I see the price of Hex getting below 2 cents? Possibly even today? Yup. And the reason I think it's going to go possibly to the 1.79 cents is because we do not have a lot of support at this price range, man. So like if you look at Hex on Uniswap, for example, and this really goes back to like the main chart of Hex, this is the line of where Hex was. This is where we had probably like the most ability to hold the line, right? And it was right here, right about 1.4 cents. So if I pull this up, I can't. Oh, I'm typing the wrong thing. That's why. Okay, so I put a line right there, and let me just get rid of the this little fib retrace nonsense. Delete. Cool. So I put a line here. It's probably hard to see, huh? Let me see if I can expand, make bigger. So this is where I see the price of Hex kind of ended up going to, right? So we have, this is like the full chart of Hex from inception, from existence, and it's done some phenomenal things. In fact, if you actually look at it from the whole grand scheme and the whole big picture of things, I mean, it's done some really incredible movement, right? And this is, of course, in log scale. You gotta check it out in logarithmic. Otherwise, it just looks like a big old chart that went up and a big old chart that went down. So be sure you click this little log button in the bottom right corner, and then you can really see whole price movements, and it does everything logarithmically. So this is where price was for Hex. It had a great little trend. And then once we broke down out of this little line that we were holding for quite some time, that's when we really started seeing the price of Hex kind of start to fall, right? Because we held some around this 20-cent range, 13 to 20-cent range. This is like the big area that we held. And then ever since then, it's been nothing but downward price pressure because we had the announcement of Pulse Chain, we had the sacrifice for Pulse Chain, we had the sacrifice for Pulse X, we had the announcement of a possible mid-May launch. We know all that to be false. We know everything that happened. We've already seen it play out and what happened, which is why after mid-May, the price freaking tanked, right? And then once we actually broke below the 10-cent level, that's where we were having like a lot of support for quite some time. Because if you look at this little chart here, you had many touches at the 10-cent level, even around when it was falling and dipping. 10 cents was a good area, but once it broke 10 cents, it just fell through. Well, that's kind of what we're probably going to be experiencing come this little price action over here. I'll zoom in just a smidge more. So as we go through here, I mean, check it out. I mean, this is unfortunate to say, right? But it's the truth. It's what it is. Let me go through and switch this up to the daily. So this is a price action for Hex, where it's been, what's going on over the last few days. And we really see the price where it went up, and then we had the Hex conference come. We had everything happen. Richard Hart gave us a big old nothing burger, unfortunately. It sucks to say there wasn't really a lot that happened within the Hex conference. In fact, I really wish he almost wouldn't have mentioned Pulse Chain personally. Hex is so freaking tied to Pulse Chain now, it aggravates me and frustrates me and drives me bonkers, man. I don't like the fact that it's so tied to Pulse Chain, but because it is, we at least need to prepare. So what I'm seeing, and the reason why I brought this up for the daily, let me pull this up long term and go back to weekly real fast. The reason why I think we probably are going to see some pain happen a lot sooner than, sooner than people anticipate, is because, guys, if we break below this 1 penny level, which is right here, I mean, look, we don't have a lot of touches. Once we hit 1 cent and we got past this little range here, about 2 cents, we didn't have a lot of action. There was nothing to really give us a lot of support or resistance. We just flew past it. It went from like 1 cent, we bounced it a couple times, and then it was like, fuck 1 cent, and then went up drastically, right? That's where we saw the 3 cent, 10 cent, massive gains come very quickly. Well, because of that, we haven't had any action in between this time, which is why should Bitcoin fall below, I think it's 15,000, there's nothing to really support. It's the same metrics, right? Usually they say the same thing. If something goes up and it has to come down to retest that area, right? A big old nothing burger, Randy. A big old nothing burger, man. That was painful. Painful, man. Painful. All I got is it's complicated, and that freaking blows. So here's where we're at now. It's at 2 cents. This is the most amount of touches you're gonna have, and below that, there's nothing showing support between this range. So my chart over here that I'm using will show us actually bouncing probably in between 1 cent to, or 1.9 cent to 1.4. I think we're gonna bounce, dude. We have no news of Pulse Chain, and Hex is now so freaking tied to Pulse Chain that unless we get something like testnet v3 or the launch of Pulse Chain, we have nothing. Hex, unfortunately, has lost what it was in regards to just a certificate of deposit on the blockchain. And again, that's being very basic into what Hex is, but that's what it was. And now we have Pulse Chain as this like freaking weight over us. It's like this cloud. It's like this storm cloud is just hovering over Hex now. It's just staying over Hex, and it just won't leave Hex alone. And until we get Pulse Chain to launch, Hex is going to always be under the storm cloud. So what I did to prepare is I have limit orders set anywhere between 1.9 down to 1.4 at this time. Should the price fall below this range, guys, and guys, this is where shit gets really crazy. If this price falls below 1.4 right here, we're gonna see price hit 1.3 all the way down to a penny. And if we fall below a penny, the sky's the limit, the ground's the limit, whatever you want to say. We do not have any support with limit orders, with liquidity, with anything below a penny. If we fall below a penny, like, we're dropping. So I have limit orders currently to take advantage of scooping up some more hex at 1.9 to 1.4. That's where I think we're gonna bounce. That's where I said all the way back here, we're gonna bounce here for quite some time, folks. We're gonna bounce here until we get the launch of Pulse Chain. It keeps trying to break out of this little range, and I thought because the 9 EMA crossed the 15 EMA, we might see something happen. But just recently, it just crossed back again, and it went back the other way. And so we're gonna see some more downward pressure. We have, yeah, I mean, dude, I'm telling you know, don't quote me on it. I'm not a financial advisor. Like I don't provide financial advice for you. I'm telling you where I have my limit order set. And if you want to try to take advantage of this opportunity yourself, you might want to set some limit orders. But one thing I found is if you were buying on the way up, you've already felt pain going back down. Like, because it went from 1.7. If you were lucky enough to buy it down here, set some limit orders, whatever, and then you saw it start to go back up and you FOMO'd in and you were like, man, I'm getting back in, and it got up to 2.5 cents. And you were like, yeah, man, we got the announcement of testnet. It's coming soon. I'm listening to other content creators like Crypto 7 was a big one. Like, testnet V3's launching soon. I don't see it happening, man. Until Richard Hart says testnet V3's launching, I don't see it freaking happening, right? He's not going to announce it on someone else's channel. How much percent is to 1.4? Well, let's find out. From current price right now down to 1.4 cents would put us at a 30% drop in current price from where it is. And that may be hard to see. Let me see if I can zoom in a smidge. I don't know if that's easy enough to see on your screen. I'm zoomed in up to 200%, so it's like quite zoomed in on my end right now. Yeah, exactly. V1. Oh shit. Yeah, facing reality, I think it would be a 97% dip if we actually measure it from like all-time high. I'm measuring it. I think that's what your question was, Gabriel. How much percent down is it from where it is right now at 2 cents to 1.4 cents? So it'd be a 30% drop. And I got a friend coming over bringing some lunch soon. So I you know, we're going to keep on streaming until he gets here, until I see that he's almost here, you know, because it's been a long time, man. Good buddy of mine. Definitely got him in this whole ecosystem as well. He's actually been able, he's a friend that I talk about commonly on stream. He was able to quadruple his T shares during this time. Why is my phone dead? 1 second, y'all. So I use my man, I just lost my screen, or I lost myself, but I use my phone as a camera, and currently the temperature of the phone got too hot apparently. So it'll just be a blank screen until my phone cools down enough to be able to plug it back in and use it as a camera for the last little bit. Thank you so much, Ocards. He says, oops, forgot to press the like button. This has now been sorted. Well, yeah, make sure everyone who is tuning in to definitely press the like button. I know we have 16 concurrent viewers, 18 viewers right now. We have 19 likes. We've had 82 views overall during this time. Come on in, press the like button. Feel free to share the love, share it with your friends, your social media groups, you know, the crew, the family. Let everyone know what's happening. And if you like the information I'm sharing, definitely feel free to click the like button, click the subscribe button. It means quite a bit as well. And definitely helps, right? So to answer the question here, though, I do see us going back to 1.9 to 1.4 cents. I think we have, and guys, look at this, and I've said this before in the past. Every time we've had a relief rally so far, every single time we've had a slight little relief rally, it falls. Why? Because we don't really have any strong momentum. People are still bearish in the community. People are still bearish in the whole overall market itself. So every time it does this like slight relief rally, I actually don't get excited, unfortunately, like I once did, because now I know that Pulse Chain is so heavily tied. Oh man, hey man, missing you and Jake in group call lately. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I need to be hopping in. I'm a part of the Jake's membership that he has. I think I was one of the first people who came in. Jake Sharp, who is, you know, crypto, who puts the 777, and he's big in our ecosystem and big in the community. I came and joined up with him. He was a big reason that kind of motivated me to also start streaming. It was something I always wanted to do. And, you know, he's like, dude, just fucking come in, click record. Like, you never know what's going to happen, right? And so I came in, I click record, and so far we're up to 525 subscribers. So let's continue this journey. I do a daily stream now every single day. I keep improving every single time we go and do this as well. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. But like every single time we've seen a slight rally happen, and this is back, yeah, this is daily. Every time we've seen a slight rally happen with Hex, it hasn't been enough to move out of the Pulse Chain non-news, right? Because like Pulse Chain is and Hex are now freaking like correlated like no other, like crazy. And it sucks because every time we get this rally happening, what used to be Hex would continue to go and continue to happen. Now we have everyone just doing nothing but sell because we don't have any news of Pulse Chain. So we get this rally up, we fall. We get a rally up, we fall. We get a rally up, we fall. We get a rally up, we fall, right? And this has been the same thing commonly. And so as this happened, I anticipated to do the same thing. It rallied up and it falls. These are temporary relief rallies for some. For me, I just see them as like this, like the hope that they were hoping that we were going to hear something about testnet V3. We were going to hear something about Pulse Chain. And unfortunately, we got nothing. In fact, I have the transcript happening where Richard Hart actually came through here and talks about Pulse Chain. And so I did a little search. I said, how many times does he mention Pulse? He mentions Pulse 45 times, right? Pulse X. People have the tattoo in there, and you can click on this, and it'll go to that section of the video.
I got 3 hours to be chatting with you guys.
You know, he talks about everything here, right? I said, how many times does he say complicated? He says complicated 4 times, because this is all I kept hearing, and I heard it. I don't know why this is all that I heard, but he goes. Stuff is so complicated, right? And so he says it right there. And then he says it in the next one. It's complicated. God, this stuff's so complicated.
This stuff's so complicated.
Very complicated. Right? It's really complicated stuff.
Complicated stuff.
And I was like, Richard, stop saying complicated. I don't like that word stood out to me. And what was the last one that I had that I looked up? Software. Because he says software is hard all the time. So he says software 11 times in the whole stream.
That's in the software.
He has 4 hours, guys, 4 hours of streaming, right? 4 hours of streaming, and he only says software 11 times. He says complicated 4 times. He says Pulse X, and that kind of stuff 45 times. But in 4 hours, I think I've said Pulse Chain more than that in this 15-minute video. I could be wrong, or 15-minute. That's fucking hilarious. In this 1 hour video. So, like, I'm sharing this with everyone because, again, like, waiting is a big part of what we're all doing right now. It's clearly happening. It's clearly going to continue to happen. And I think waiting is definitely, while it's in the game, it's something that we all should expect. I do think that it's something that we aren't doing enough during this time to try to get Hex back to Hex things, right? I want Hex just to be Hex again, man. Like, Hex is phenomenal as it is. Like, Hex was doing phenomenal things before Richard decided to come up with Pulse Chain. And I get why he did, dude. Gas fees were fucking obnoxious, dude. For everyone who was around during that time, gas fees were freaking obnoxious, dude. It was costing sometimes $50 to do a swap to convert your tokens from USDC into Hex. It was so expensive, man. And it got to the point where it's like, okay, that's way too much, obviously, and I'm in agreement with him on that one too. Let me plug this back in, see if I can get my camera in toward the end. 1 second here. Do. All right. All right, got the camera back on. Right toward the end, you know what I mean? Always hanging out, always having fun. But I just want to make sure that I had the camera on right toward the end so I could say thank you to everyone who did come through on this chat, who came through and listened to me rant and rave. You know, we're all waiting during this time. I think waiting is definitely a virtue, but dude, it sucks, man. It's painful. I get it. So let me just kind of give a little shout out to everyone who came through, right? We had Ali Kane 32. Thank you so much. I think it's actually the first time you coming through, hopping in and actually chatting. I appreciate that. It means a lot. O-Cart's coming through, Crypto Gains Club 369, Facing Reality, Orion, Gabriel, Randy Alarski, Chad, Ben, Bright Light Crypto, Ocean Breeze, Luke Duke, Corey Tate. We also had Sweaty come through, more Hex. We had, of course, Cash Up Cash. Guys, Academaciated. I am loving all of this. Gabriel in the house. I'm loving y'all coming through and having fun with me on these streams. I'm going to be hopping off. My friend is pulling up with some lunch, with some food. I want to be talking some strategies with him because, you know, that's what it's all about. And I think if you aren't game planning during this time, you're messing up, right? I'm looking to try to be ready for when everything launches. I'm trying to make sure that I have a strategy in place for myself. Sorry about that. I just saw my camera out of angle, a little tilted, whatever. I get distracted so easily. But guys, I am having an absolute blast with these streams. Come on back in, check out the content, come have some fun with me. And I'll look forward to sharing this journey with you going forward in the future. Catch y'all in the next stream. Peace out.